a Taco Bell, motherfuckers. I'll get it. I'll line it up.
Okay.
I'll line it up.
Right.
We're good.
Okay.
This is Respawn Aim Fire, episode 80. We are 10 years older than my grandma was at age 70.
I don't know how that makes any sense at all.
It's exactly what it means.
This podcast has been on for 80 years.
This is the Kick-Ass Irreverent Gaming Podcast.
And apparently also the first video game podcast and podcast ever, apparently. We're old. Yeah.
That octogenarian over there, Holden DePardo. This octogenarian over here, Chad Michaelinis. And we are here to talk to you about video games and shit that happened this week. We've got things like some Diablo 3 crossplay news. Mm-hmm. We've got things like some VR games we might want to see in the future. We've got things like, I don't know, how about an N64 Classic mini leak?
Ooh.
But before we get to any of that, we're going to talk a little bit about Sony PlayStation and some troubles they've been having this week.
Yeah, so not a great week for them. It's the more recent of the two was a smaller one, and that was PlayStation Network was having issues. People couldn't get online. That has since been resolved, which is nice. But the second one was much more serious. And this is that there was
PlayStation Network down. It just doesn't happen often anymore.
It doesn't happen often at all anymore. I
used to see that like every 3 or 4 days. You'd be like, oh, PlayStation Network's down again.
Well, that was always the thing. Is like, oh, well, online's free on PS3, but it's also you get what you pay for.
Right.
So, but no, they put their money where it matters now. So
up your butt.
When you were able to play online, and people were playing online, and let's say that like they were killing it and they were doing really great in Rocket League, and so much so their opponents were like, well, fuck this guy, he's not going to win. Well, that little meanie will just send a message to the winner that has this glitched, what do you call it, unintelligible message.
Look at that transition you just made there.
Why are you laughing? I don't know why you're laughing.
I'm proud of you.
Was it bad?
That was a stretch, but man, it works.
And if you get this message, it would actually, quote-unquote, crash your PS4. That's what people thought were happening, is it was crashing your PS4. They couldn't get to the home screen. Their controller wouldn't respond. It would just constantly show them the report a problem, and it just wouldn't go away. It would just always say report a problem. So,
maybe
that's
they should
not
report
cool.
the problem this time, then.
People are saying that if you just deleted the message, or if you put your account to private, then that wouldn't be happening. But now Sony has a fix. They came out and said that it wasn't that your PS4 was crashing. It was just caught in an infinite loop of having that report a problem prompt pop up on the screen, basically, was what was happening. It was like crash loop is the term that they used. And on Twitter...
So hold on, if one of our audience members, for some reason, has asshole friends and has this loop stuck, how do we get rid of it?
I was just going to read the tweet from Sony.
Oh, thanks!
PlayStation UK, they said, quote, delete the message from the PS Mobile app first. Then you go to safe mode on your PS4, you choose option 5, and then console back to normal is what it says.
Console back to normal.
Console back to normal. So they have a fix already. They've actually resolved both of their problems. The networking issue is figured out as well. So they had a rough week, but they fixed it.
They also, correct me if I'm wrong, released a new firmware update that does fix it.
Yes,
anyway,
they did.
So you don't have to go through the option 5 safe
They
mode.
did do that as well, yeah.
Cool titties, Holden.
Yeah.
And that's all the PlayStation news that happened this week.
Not a lot. Well, that's okay. We don't even have Microsoft news at all this week. So at least Sony's in here. Yeah.
Great. If you guys are not aware, this is our new format that we started trying last week, where we're kind of splitting up the news by company. So we have all the big three and then third parties. Again, if you give us feedback, positive, negative, or neutral.
Mm-hmm. And it has to be either...
About this new... then you get... Welcome to Respawn Aim Fire. You get an additional entry into our participation trophy at the end of the month for your chance to win $20
Ooh. The feedback.
Hold on, what were you about to say?
Listen, the feedback really should be constructive. That way it's useful. But if you want to attack and demean us, that's cool too.
That is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
And by constructive, we mean write it in crayon on construction paper.
Yes.
And mail it to... I almost just read my address.
Send it to One Infinite Loop.
One Infinite Loop. There you go.
It's Apple's.
One Infinite Crash Loop.
One Infinite Crash
on
Loop.
PlayStation console.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah,
oh.
See? Hold on. So, there were a lot of people that couldn't play games temporarily on PlayStation Network, but guess who fucking did?
What did you play?
Oh, I did. I played some games. Thank you for saying me.
Well, I just knew you were talking about you, so I just decided to ask you what you were playing.
The audience didn't know Holden.
Well,
and
I think that our
suspense.
audience is very smart and they caught up with it, okay?
I think they're brilliant.
You said like you were like
Jerson's Kirby.
You see, like the tone of that though was like, well, I disagree with you.
I think you're right.
I think they're smarter than you think they are.
I drive a Dodge Stratus.
What's that from again?
It's from Will Ferrell SNL skit.
That's right. That's right.
I can do 100 push-ups in 20 minutes.
Isn't he's the dad and he's like trying to have authority or something?
Yeah, they're at dinner.
Yeah, that's right.
And they're all having. And it's just anyway. So I played a bunch of games this week. A lot of them were stemmed from conversations that I'd heard from other podcasts and gaming journalists in relation to Project Stream and how the conversation seemed to inevitably come back to PlayStation Now. So I'm going to first touch on Project Stream because this is not really about that. So I'm going to explain. Last week we talked about our impressions from Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Google's Project Stream, which, if you are unfamiliar, it is Google's streaming game solution where you just open up literally a tab in your browser and go to the website, and boom, you're streaming Assassin's Creed on your computer. Whether it's a crappy little Acer book or whether it's a super beefy MacBook Pro, it doesn't matter. It's going to run, ideally, the same. Now, we had kind of similar experiences. It seems like yours was a little bit more acceptable on your end, but I sent you a video of my second attempt. I played it again this week because last time we decided, I had a really high connection speed. I'm going to try it again at maybe a less peak time of day. And I played it again, and I still had some slowdown. I had some stuttering, and I still had what was mostly obnoxious to me was the visual compression. Like, you could obviously see back and forth. It just goes in and out of that smeary kind of look as it loses quality and then comes back and then buffers and comes back.
I actually didn't see that too much in the video you sent me. Does the screen recording compress it a little bit? Because maybe that kind of...
Maybe it does. Because I did a full screen recording and then sent that to you.
Yeah.
Did you play it full screen?
No, I didn't play full screen.
Well, that's why I told you to watch it on your Mac, because it has the big screen so you could see what it looked like.
Oh.
Because I'm playing the game full screen, so you got to see full screen. Anyway.
Well,
so it has some obvious, which leads me to believe that like once they do get this running on a phone, that's not going to be an issue because your phone is tiny.
Yeah.
So that fucking video compression doesn't matter. Anyway. So yeah, for some reason, it's exactly the same as last time. So again, it's playable, but it's not the way that I would like to play the game. So for now, it's not a service that I intend to use. But this conversation has led many other outlets into saying, yeah, well, this is running pretty great compared to PlayStation Now, which runs like trash and garbage and is unplayable, blah, 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 blah. And then they always end their conversation by saying, oh, yeah, and I also haven't played PlayStation Now in 4 years, or I've never played PlayStation Now before. But here are my strong opinions about it. So I was like, that's not really fair, because they've made some strides. But then I was like, you know what? I've also not played it since it was in beta 4.5 years ago. My opinions were, I've never had anything but good things to say about it because I've never had bad experiences on it. So I'm like, I'm going to go back and play it. So I played 3 games on PlayStation Now. I made sure to stream them as opposed to downloading them, even though that is an option for all 3 of the games that I played. And I started small and simple and went to more complex, graphically intense games. I started with sound shapes. Disclaimer, I did a speed test, and my wired Ethernet connection speed was 300 megabits per second. But only 2.9 upload speed, so big difference there.
That's a surprising.
I know. Well, it was like it was 19 upload on the Mac, but 2.9 on the PlayStation. I assume that has to do with something with PlayStation servers.
No. You probably don't have to upload that often. Like, I don't know, if you're playing a game online, you're setting information up a lot.
Yeah,
so
but it's only your inputs. It's not like video or anything like that.
That's true.
Anyway, I played Sound Shapes first, which is the most graphically intense game you've ever seen in your life. No, the reason I chose that one is because it's simple.
And the rhythm.
And the rhythm aspect, yeah. So I wanted to see like input lag and buttons and things like that. Would that make a difference? And I experienced nothing. No lag. No visual problems other than the fact that I was playing a 1080p game on a 4K TV. And it was flawless. Absolutely flawless. I was like, it's okay. That was too easy. Let's get up to God of War 3 Remastered. This was technically a PS3 game. that was remade for PS4 or remastered for PS4. Again, streaming in 1080p, 60 frames a second. Literally, again, flawless. No input lag. You with that one, you can get away with it a little bit more because it's basically it's hack and slash. But visual fidelity was perfect the entire time. I made it all the way through the Poseidon boss, and I decided, all right, I've had enough of this. Let's bump it up a notch and play Bloodborne. This is a game where timing matters more so than like sound shapes. Again, fucking flawless.
I'm really surprised by this. I really want to try out PlayStation Now again just to see this for myself.
Yeah, last month when they made downloading available, they unlocked the 7-day free trial for everyone again. So if you're curious about it, I'm curious about how your experience would be, because you haven't played it since it basically came out as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm curious what it would be like on your 35. I think it was what 35 megabits per second.
Yeah, it's like 35 megabits. Yeah, it's not bad.
I mean, no, and when they launched it, they recommended a 5. So,
which just seems really funny because, of course, it's not going to work on 5.
I mean, at the time, it was also only a few PS3 games and some PlayStation games. So, so I played all of that just to see how does it work, get an updated opinion, and then say, fucking everybody else, update your opinions. Also, because I'm a Sony fanboy, Sony pony.
Yep. That's the thing is you didn't even play it. You just felt like you had to defend Sony, so you just started to say these things.
But I think
Sony can't be bad.
I think it's also worth mentioning that it's $20 a month.
I'm kidding, you guys.
Which I think is a lot of money. No, you're not. It's $20 a month, which is it's much more than like Game Pass, which is $10 a month. But it does have 650 plus titles, as opposed to Game Pass's 100 plus. Mm-hmm. But as I mentioned, like I own literally like 80%, 85% of those games that are on there already, so it's not something I would ever subscribe to.
I think it's ridiculous that you have that many games.
I do.
It's crazy.
So I have this game collection app where every time I get a new game, I put it in there and I can keep track of everything.
What app is that? I'd like to get that app, actually.
It is an app called Video Games by SotN.
Oh, I hope there's an Android version of it.
I own 776 video games.
Holy crap. I don't know what's more impressive, that you have all those video games or that you manually entered all of them into that app.
Well, what's cool about you can search a database. So if I picked up BioShock Collection, gotcha. I can type in BioShock and it's like, oh yeah, that's the one. PS4, done.
What was it called again? Video games?
It's called Video Games by SotN.
Okay.
They've since released like this all-in-one collection app that's like subscription-based and things, and they're trying to push everyone to that. But I'm like, fucking no. I'm working on this bitch.
What else did you play, Chad?
So I also played another new game for my virtual reality headset called PlayStation VR, Project Morpheus. And it's called Astrobot Rescue Mission, which is the worst title because I think about that title, I'm like, oh, that's a mobile game that no one's going to give a fuck about. But Astrobot Rescue Mission is a new first-party Sony game from Japan Studio, and it is a full game realization of the demo that shipped with PlayStation Playroom VR. When PlayStation VR first shipped, it had Playroom VR, and they were the little robot mini games. So the world's most adorable fucking robots. You have one, and you are going through these like 3D platforming worlds, saving other little robots, and you are a big giant robot that's kind of floating behind. Your DualShock is viewable on the screen at all times. It's also interactive where you can shoot like a grappling hook out and your little guy can jump on it and then you flick your controller up and he flies up in the air. And then there's like a water cannon that you aim at things and shoot fire bosses. Anyway, it's a fucking amazing game. And a lot of people are reviewing it super high, like 9.5, even some 10s
super
out there.
Hot?
Super hot. They're calling it the Super Mario 64 of PlayStation, of VR.
Bold.
Very bold. Like
very
Doritos bold.
But it sounds like it's a really good platformer, though.
It is.
And
I
honestly,
tend to agree because
the first good platformer I can think of in VR, I can't really think of one. The only one I can think of is Super Lucky's Tale, but that's not a very well-received game.
Moss is out there. Moss is... It's
platforming
light.
It's platforming light. It's not like jumping into different things. You're just kind of more moving around.
But this game is a brilliant platformer. Mm-hmm. It has some really ingenious mechanics to it. It has some really amazing times when you are like super below the little bot and he's kind of jumping on rails above you or leaves above you. Mm-hmm. And then there are times when you're like looking super far down on him and you're like navigating. The sense of scale and position in 3D space in this VR game is awesome. But there are all sorts of like little secrets and treasures and collectibles and things like that as well. There are 8 little adorable little robots that you collect, and every time you're about to go collect them, they like show you their butt, and then you got to go up and kick them in their butt, and then they just like whee, and they fly into your controller. And
then Chad's the happiest man alive.
I giggle every time when they're just sitting on a ledge and like they're help me, and then you get close and like and they show your butt. And they're like, all right, bend over, and then you go and you kick them in the butt. They're also not afraid.
I can just picture Chad with the PSVR headset on and just like a big smile underneath the headset.
They're also not afraid to get morbid, because sometimes you'll go into a level and they'll be like, oh, there's 10 little baby robot skeletons on the ground where they all died.
Ew.
Oh, also,
sad.
there's some things where you're going through the level and like in real life you have to like smash walls with your head as you go. Mm-hmm. It's nothing too strenuous or like you don't have to move a lot in order to make it happen. But there was like an underwater level and there were like starfishes with faces on them, and those tended to represent things that you could smash with your head. And I got through it and I was missing one robot. I was like, where is this last robot? I can't find it. And I saw a starfish on the ground. I was like, oh, I wonder if I could like dig up something or something with my head. And I full on smashed my face as hard as I could down into the sand and hit right on the coffee table in my apartment. I thought for sure I was going to have the corner of the coffee table go right through the screen. But I took up I was like, oh my God. And I had a big old red mark above my eyeball for like 2 days. I full on headbutted that table as hard as I could. It turns out, no, that was just a fucking plain starfish.
It's really funny. Oh, you should sue Sony now.
I will.
You should sue them. How could they let you do that?
It's a fantastic game. It's a proof of concept for what a really amazing platform experience can be in VR. Mm-hmm. So if you guys have a PlayStation VR headset, it is going to be first party exclusive forever, obviously because it's Sony made it. But yeah, if you have a PSVR, definitely go download Astrobot. It's a hell of fun. And they have some really cool bosses.
Well, I don't have a PSVR, but if I did,
well, you fucking suck. Just kidding, I love you. Go. What did you play?
Well, I played Castlevania Symphony of the Night, which is our barf of the month.
On so what? What did you play it on?
Playing it on a PS Vita that I got this week. I'm excited to get a Vita
when people
again.
Die in the military, right? Taps?
Yeah, that song, yep.
Good.
So I had a Vita, and then it broke, and I'm still glad I had it again, because that's a great handheld.
How long has it been since you had a Vita?
I got it day one, and then I had it until, like, 2015, I think it broke. I dropped it.
It's been 3 years?
Yeah, but I'm going back.
You dropped it, or you woke up and the screen was shattered?
I dropped it on the carpet. I don't know what happened.
And it's Sony's fault.
It's Sony's fault.
I dropped it 6 inches onto carpet.
I swear to God, I just looked at it wrong. So no, I dropped it on a tile floor. It was totally my fault. Anyway, I was going through like all the games to re-download again, and holy crap, there are so many games that I just haven't played in so long that I forgot. Like I got Tearaway again. I haven't played Tearaway yet, but I'd like downloaded Tearaway again. I didn't realize I had the Jak and Daxter collection on Vita. I've never played the Jak and Daxter games before, but now I have the trilogy, and I'm like, maybe I should play that. But then I got Luminous Electronic Symphony again, which is one of my favorite games from the PS Vita. I got Luminous for the Switch, and it's Luminous, but it doesn't have the track. Yeah, it doesn't have the track listing that the Vita version has. And just goddamn, those songs are so good. So I'm glad to get that again. I was enjoying that on the plane.
You got that rear touch.
You got that rear touch. You can just kind of tap to the beat of the music to get extra points. Great idea.
Tap to the beat of the music.
But also, like, there are like a few extra things too that are nice about Luminous on Vita, where like you'll get. It's like a Tetris kind of style game, or like Puyo Puyo kind of style, Dr. Mario style game. And there are points where you'll get special blocks that'll randomize everything. That way, if you kind of were getting stuck and you weren't doing too great, you can kind of like look for those things to really help you out. So that like, it's nice to have that again. It's just nice to have those songs again. It was great having it on a plane. What a perfect game to play on the plane. So I played that. And then I started playing Fez. And I think I'm going to force you to make this a barf because
All right.
this game, I never finished it when I was first playing it. I didn't get too far. I got like 25 to like 30% into the game, like not very far at all.
I beat the whole thing and got all the trophies and got all the secrets.
How long ago was that, though?
That was around the time that you broke your Vita.
Okay, so
I think it was when Randy was playing it. That's when I picked it up.
that's when I got it too. No, that's not when I got it.
Yeah?
No, because I got it when it first came to PS Vita. That's when I got it.
Okay.
Because I really want to play the game. Anyway, I want to play this game. So look forward to that Barf, maybe, because it's a gorgeous game. It's very, very cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
So that's what I played this week.
Oh my god! That's it. That's all we played.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I could do. So I sat down and took a big old piss.
Let's talk about some news stories. We're going to start off...
I so appreciate you just, like, putting up with whatever random shit comes out of my mouth and just like, all right, that's Chad. Let's move on.
It's very rare to meet someone, though, who's just like, I'm going to be me. Fuck everyone else. I'll be me.
That's right.
So, it's...
Would you call the way we met a meet cute? Actually, I don't even remember how we met. Probably at work.
We met at work, yeah. I'm trying to think, when was like the first conversation we had? I don't remember that.
I don't know.
But
probably like, dude, look at your fucking elbows.
Oh, yeah. I have a double jointed elbow, and I didn't realize it until I worked at the store with Chad.
It was disgusting. You'd like lean with your palms on the table, and your elbows would twist around and like touch your shoulder blades.
That's not what happened. You make it sound like it was an alien or something.
You looked like the kids from Contact whose knees go backwards.
Well, now that everyone has that lovely image of me and thinks I'm a monster, let's talk about some third-party indie titles.
Woo! Let's open up our quest log. So, third-party indie titles. Go on.
Yeah, so I just thought this was a weird story. So, The Quiet Man, the new title from Square Enix they showed off at E3, as you pointed out the last time I recorded this, the only title that they announced.
The only title.
Which we still don't know anything about. We don't know what the game is going to be. But if you like the game you don't know that it's going to be or not, there's a New Game Plus to play that game that you don't know what you're going to play. Isn't that exciting, Chad? A New Game Plus.
It is exciting.
For a game you don't know what it is.
The New Game Plus is unique and interesting.
It is unique. So the main version of the game, The Quiet Man, is that your character is deaf and silent. So in the game, you don't hear people talking to you. You don't hear... the world around you, like ambient sounds. There'll be kind of actions that you'll hear, like quick actions or special moves you make. There'll be noises associated with that, probably just for playability's sake. But when you play at New Game Plus, people will be able to talk to you. You'll be able to hear the world around you. I don't know how that's going to impact the gameplay at all. Like, will there be secrets you didn't know about because you didn't hear that person tell you about it? Or, I don't know.
I wonder if at the end of the game, someone, like, boxes his ears and he gets his hearing back.
He just like...
then you're like, let's play the game again now that I got this fucking superpower. Oh my God,
that would be like the most insulting thing to the deaf community ever. So at the end of the game, he just like pulls like earplugs out and is like, dude, you just had these in the whole time. Like, play the game again. Like, can you imagine the outrage around that? That'd be... Like, what were you thinking, Square Enix? Like, why did you do that? I don't know why they did this in general. I would like... Spoiler, or not spoiler, but like, we're recording this again because I messed up. So
I can only imagine it was user error.
It was probably user error. I'm very tired. I probably just did something and didn't realize it. Anyway, there's recording this again or thinking about this now. It seems like the trend has been with games. We released the game. Hey, that game was really awesome. Horizon Zero Dawn was really good. God of War was really good. Zelda Breath of the Wild was really good. And then all those games got a New Game Plus or Master Mode, whatever you want to call it, in Zelda. After the game came out and after we knew what the game was and what the reception of that game was. But this is like, we don't even know what the game is, really. We just know it has a silent protagonist that's deaf. And there's a New Game Plus. In its defense,
this caught my eye and made me look and think about a game that I honestly had written off and would probably never fucking touch.
But like, why?
And I was like, oh, I still will probably never fucking touch it. It was like, that's kind of cool.
Sure, but... if the dialogue were meaningful and great and all that...
We don't know that it's not.
But they wouldn't... Why would they spend that much money to create meaningful dialogue and have it only be a New Game Plus? Which, how many people do you think
why
really
did they
play
save
New
all
Game
the best
Plus?
Mario Odyssey levels for after you beat the game?
That's different.
No,
That's
it's
not the same thing. Because you're not going back and playing the same levels again with sound added.
You are.
No, you're
playing
not.
the same levels again with difficulty added.
I mean, all right.
A lot of them are the same exact moon challenges, but then something crazy added on top of it.
That's a common game design mechanic to do that.
Boom, 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 boom.
But this is
I
not.
got you,
No,
motherfucker.
you didn't, because
I got you.
adding sound back into the game is not like
You're burnt.
None of those phrases make any difference at all, because adding sound is not a game mechanic necessarily. It's like saying you're just so proud of yourself for no reason. We're just gonna move on because this won't end. So,
Number 2.
Hitman 2's first elusive target will be Sean Bean from any movie where he dies.
You get to kill the man who dies in everything he's in.
Yes. I think this is awesome. I can't wait. I just can't wait to get this game in general. But the elusive targets are an awesome idea. If people don't know what they are, in Hitman, you play a hitman named Agent 47. You kill people. You have a target. You got to kill them. That's the point of the game. But their online events are timed. So you have, like, for Sean Bean will be available for 10 days starting November 20th. You have 10 days to kill him and only one chance to do it. So you have to really pay attention to what the right opportunity is going to be, because if you mess it up, that is it. If you get into a firefight, you can't restart and play it again. That's now what's happening. You got to deal with it. So
does it happen in a level that you might already be familiar with?
Yes.
Okay.
It's already a level you're familiar with, but they might remix it a little bit. So, guards are in different places or different disguises that would have given you access to certain areas. Maybe that character's not there anymore. They can change it up a little bit. It just depends on the level. But
can you play as Gary Busey killing Sean Bean?
That would be cool, but probably not.
Okay.
But it'd be really awesome if just, for future Hitman, they just realized, let's get rid of Agent 47, just replace him with Gary Busey, because that's what people really want out of this franchise.
That's right.
That'd be great, yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Diesel.
Or Vin Diesel. Chad, you're excited about this next one.
Oh, man, kinda, yeah. But also not really, so we'll see. Diablo 3 crossplay is, quote, a question of when, not if, according to Blizzard. This comes from Dual Shockers. There's a quote from Business Insider. This is not an official announcement. This is just an executive, or a guy just stating that they are partnering with Sony and Microsoft to see what can happen, and it happened to be a matter of when, not if. Turns out Blizzard says, nope. Official statement from us says, while we love the idea of bringing our players together across platforms, we do not have any plans to implement cross-platform gameplay for Diablo at this time.
Yeah, it seems like, I'm sure Microsoft is okay with them talking about this, because Microsoft's on board with the whole crossplay things. I'm sure Sony was like, well, we're not sure if we're going to be able to turn that access on for this game, because they've said they're only going to do it for certain games. Yeah. They probably just realized Blizzard had to step back if they want this feature, is what it seems like.
Well, I think even ahead of it, they would, if they were actively looking into it, they would probably be like, yeah, well, maybe Nintendo and Xbox, why can't they play together?
Yeah.
So or that maybe, is a game that...
But they might not want to do that, because it might hurt the relationship with Sony if all these developers are doing crossplay between Xbox and Nintendo, but just not Sony. And
no, that's Sony hurting.
No, I know that
Sony. With Sony.
I know
that's Sony hurting Sony.
I know that Sony hurting Sony, but sometimes people are not rational, and so that could hurt the relationship if they decided to take that back.
I have a few ex-girlfriends like that. Yeah, so that's one that I actually would love to have crossplay on, because I will buy it again when you buy it, so that we can play together on Switch. But also, I'm gonna play it again on PS4. So
yeah, I want to play it eventually.
Your mom's butt.
I'll get it eventually.
I'll look into it. Da Vinci.
The last third-party story that we have is that Star Citizen had a new trailer, and with that trailer, since then they've brought in, almost $1 million in added crowdfunding. $1 million is a lot of money for any crowdfunding project, but that is literally 0.5% of what they've gotten thus far. So they've already gotten $195,768,020 in crowdfunding since 2012.
They're the most crowdfunded thing ever. They have almost $200 million, and people be like, yeah, I'll fucking give you $300 for a ship.
Yeah, so part of having all this money, they have DLC in a game that hasn't come out yet, which is like $1,000 for a ship. You have to have the game to pay $1,000 for that ship.
Yep.
But it's very strange. The trailer itself was pretty good, actually, though. It was a trailer for Squadron 42, which is actually a separate game from Star Citizen. It started off as a story mode to Star Citizen, and now it's just a second game because they have so much money.
I didn't actually watch the trailer.
You should.
Guess I fucking suck.
It actually looks pretty good from like a graphical standpoint. The art design. I mean, Gary Oldman is in it. Gary Oldman's in it. Mark Hamill.
Gary Oldman?
Yeah, Gary Oldman's in it. I was just really surprised by how many actors are in there that you will absolutely recognize. So, pretty cool.
I saw The Darkest Hour. I didn't. It's in my watch list, though.
It's really not good.
I heard it was really boring, but he got nominated for an Oscar.
It got nominated for an Oscar because there are so many old people in the Academy who like boring old people movies.
Oh, Old White Man? There's an Old White Man movie.
Here's the thing. If there's a movie that takes place in the past, and it's a real event, and it features good acting,
yep,
Best Picture nomination immediately. Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Like King's Speech is the same way for me. Where I'm like, yeah, that was a good
I actually
movie,
did really enjoy the King's Speech, though.
It was a good movie, but it was also the
Steven
standard Best Picture movie.
The Steven Spielberg movie 2 years ago with Tom Hardy.
Tom Hanks. I think it was Tom Hardy.
Tom Hanks. I was going to say Tom Cruise, but it was not Tom Cruise. Tom Hanks, Bridge of Spies.
Yeah.
That movie was not good. Mm-hmm. But it's an old-timey true story with Tom Hanks by Steven Spielberg.
Yep.
Best Picture nom.
Mm-hmm. Darkest Hour is the same thing for me. Like, literally, this is such a non-video game tangent. The whole movie, I'm like, okay, stuff's happening. They're worried about this, like, crisis with the Nazis. And then literally the last scene is, like, he meets people on a train, and they're, like, real people. And they tell him what real people think. And then he goes and gives a speech 10 minutes later, no. And the movie ends because that speech was great. And I'm like, that was the conclusion? Like, really? Like, it didn't end.
Turns out Gary Oldman was fat the whole time. That's the twist.
His performance was amazing. I will say that, though. He was really good. As
oh my god, I just saw a trailer for something where someone got super fat for.
Vice.
Vice. Yes, Christian Bale as Dick Cheney.
Okay, everyone's talking about Christian Bale as Dick Cheney,
god.
And he looks great. But Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush looks perfect. He looks so perfect.
Oh my god, that movie looks so fucking good.
I cannot wait. That looks awesome.
I knew going into it that was Christian Bale.
Yeah,
but I had to stare at him for a good 30 seconds.
Yep,
that's. This is the movie where that's Christian Bale, right?
Did he put on the weight? Because I could see him doing that.
Yeah, Christian Bale is absolutely 100% a method actor, and he will fucking wreck his body.
Oh, he's gotten unhealthily thin for roles before.
So why would The Machinist?
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah. But then he fucking is Batman, so he gets jacked as shit for that.
And he gets really fat to play Dick Cheney. Anyway, let's go back to video games.
You remember his Oscar speech?
What was his Oscar speech?
It was unintelligible. Anyway,
was it better than Joe Pesci's
video games?
Was it better than Joe Pesci's Oscar speech?
I have not seen Joe Pesci for Goodfellas.
Yeah, he literally gets up there and goes "thanks" and then walks off stage.
No, Christian Bale, really you're good. Like, what the fuck are you saying? What are you talking about? You should watch it after this.
I will watch it. Yeah. All right, let's go to our fetch quests.
Fetch quests. Hey guys, are you a cool kid? Fucking course you are. You have Pokemon Go on your phone, and you played it. Even I forgive you if you just picked it up recently again. But Gen 4 got released yesterday, or at least the first wave of it, around 20-ish Pokemon. I've already got almost all of them, so Shibuya. That's all we have got to say about that.
Thanks, Forrest. Speaking of Tom Hanks.
We made 3 Forrest Gump references last episode.
Did we?
And they were all that same quote. No, wait. One of them was a box of chocolates or something like that.
Yeah. We'll have to get another one in there at some point.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
Jenny!
In context, you can't just shout it.
Ice cream!
So Black Ops 4. All right, the next 2 are sales records, but they don't tell you what the records actually are. They just tell you that it broke a record, which was kind of strange. So Black Ops 4...
very specific record.
Yeah, very, very specific record. Black Ops 4 breaks the record for digital sales, but for physical sales, it was 50% slower in growth than World War II was last year. But for digitally, it's doing great. And this is in the UK, these stats. Yeah. So that's interesting.
Digital's on the up and up, bruv.
And then Assassin's Creed Odyssey is kind of the same thing. It's breaking sales records. We don't have a number to tell you, but just that it's breaking records.
It's all you need to know. Best-selling on current-gen hardware Assassin's Creed in the franchise.
That is literally that is what it is. So the caveats are: it's the best-selling Assassin's Creed game on a current-generation console.
All right.
So it's the best-selling game out of 4.
I wonder if they count every person who's playing it on Project Steam.
5. Is it 5 games?
Because I'm.
Oh yeah. That'd be really fun. It's breaking sales records.
I'm sure that Google is paying them for each of these licenses for this game.
I bet that's what it is. They're paying, per license. That's why it's selling so great. That's really fun. Well, how many people are really in the beta, though, for Project Stream?
I mean, we submitted 3 requests, and all 3 of them got in.
That's true, yeah.
So
probably anyone who wanted to join.
Yeah.
Wow. Or they just know how awesome we are. So
that's it. They're a listener. Hey, Googs, what's up? Mr. Google.
Last fetch quest here is Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to have a file size of 89 gigabytes on Xbox One. This is from DualShockers.
Wait a minute. This is much different than the 100-something that we read earlier.
Yeah, so this is going to be just the download of the game when you buy it from the store. The 105 was like the game in a day one patch, I think, when you get the physical version of the game or something. Can you look that up, actually? Because now I'm feeling uncertain about that. And while you're that, actually, I will move on to the next segment now. So we're going to Nintendo. 2 stories here. One is from Game Rant. There were some pictures leaked of the N64 Classic. They are really poor quality pictures. Like the pictures that I saw seemed to be stretched a little bit. Like the proportions weren't quite right. And like that was a huge red flag for me. It looked very strange. But there's been a lot of skepticism around these pictures. And Nintendo left a really good video where they took a real N64 and compared it to the pictures that we have. And it's really different, and it's so obviously fake. I mean, the logo is different. The font type as well as the color of the font is different on
but you see that scrolling past in your Twitter feed, and you just get so excited.
No, exactly. You get excited. I'm sure the product is real, but that was not a picture of the product. You pointed out when we recorded this last time that the tray that you pull out to plug in your controllers just looks really cheap and like it's going to break it in a second. Like the SNES version was way better looking than that one was. So it's just everything about this just doesn't seem legitimate. I think someone made a legitimate enough looking fake to convince a bunch of people, but it's not real. I think that it's going to come out eventually. It's just not happening this year. Did you find anything about Red Dead?
Yes.
So what'd you find out? How am I wrong? Tell me how I'm wrong.
My guess is it has to do with 4K textures.
Is the 105 for the Xbox One X specifically?
So the VG247.com, the 105 gigabyte number came from box art for a promo Red Dead 2 PS4 Pro bundle.
Okay.
So PS4 Pro probably going to have the 4K textures in it.
Yeah.
Versus the listing now in the Xbox Store page.
It's for Xbox One.
Listed as 88.56. And on PS4, it's 89.2 on the PSN. Mm-hmm. So my assumption is, yes, the larger 105 that we saw earlier is probably for the Pro or the X.
So they probably will do then is the disc will have 89 gigabytes of content on it, and then when you put it in, it will download the 4K content.
When you put it in, it will download the 4K content.
Because a triple layer...
That's what she said.
A triple layer Blu-ray disc maxes out at 100 gigs. You can't fit 105 gigs on that.
3 layers, man. Cheesy Gordita Crunch. I fucking love Taco Bell.
So, let's move back on to Nintendo stuff now. This is actually not Nintendo news, but there's a new Nintendo competitor, apparently.
Oh, God. Stupid.
It's not. So, Huawei is a Chinese phone manufacturer. You might have heard about them apparently working with the Chinese government to wiretap their phones and sell them to Americans. The FBI is warning them about. And now they're going to compete with Nintendo. Allegedly. But Chinese government's really good with human rights and not human rights, just spreading of information and not being weird and creepy about,
Allegedly not being weird and creepy.
Yeah, they don't do anything like that.
They could be, but we haven't proved it yet. So the phone is called the Huawei Mate 2010 or 20X. I don't know, because Apple confuses everyone with that now. So, terrible name. It has a 7.2-inch screen, which is crazy. It's only enormous.
1080p, but I think that's for another reason we'll get to in a second. It is OLED, which is nice. It has a Kirin 980 processor. I don't know what that is.
Whatever the fuck that means.
But they said that it's a very small processor, which lets them get a bigger battery in there. And this has, quote, double the battery life of the Switch, which is why I think they have 1080p in here, because that's going to be way better for battery life than having a 2K screen. So they compared it to the Switch. in a few ways. One, my favorite was the battery life. They said it's double the battery life of the Switch, but on the picture of the slide, it shows the two devices side by side, and then it says battery lasting life is like the stat. I don't know why that just made me laugh. I
mean, they're not wrong.
They're not wrong. I know what it means.
Battery lasting life, man. Yeah. Language evolves, Holden.
Cheeseburger food meal. I mean, you gotta...
Cheeseburger food meal.
It's the same
thing.
Get out. So the one, though, I think is the funniest, is they showed off their Joy-Con equivalent. Notice I used the singular Joy-Con and not Joy-Cons, because they think you only need one, which means they clearly don't understand how the Joy-Cons work. So
I'm sticking a D-pad, y'all.
Here's how it's weird. You should look up a picture of this, because you really just have to see it to believe that it was made. It's really terrible looking. So it's only the left Joy-Con, basically, but it's also not the same shape as a Joy-Con is, where it's like a candy bar kind of shape. It is a U-shaped because it snaps onto the bottom of the phone and hugs the bottom of it. So it's U-shaped, which makes it look really strange, and then makes the phone look lopsided when one half of the phone is wider than the other half of the phone. And then you're supposed to use the touchscreen for everything else that the right Joy-Con would have been used for. So any button presses, like if you want to move the camera, you're doing all that with a touchscreen. So basically it means that it's not a Switch competitor. It's just a really expensive phone that has an accessory that you can snap onto the side of it. That seems shitty.
And all of these games are going to have to now be programmed to take advantage of one Joy-Con.
Yeah, one Joy-Con with one D-pad as well.
Yeah. And no one's going to do that
for
the Android marketplace.
Exactly.
Or whatever Huawei runs.
Yeah, it's Android. Yeah, like I think it's really funny that they're pitching this as a Switch competitor. It is over 3 times as expensive, has half the controllers, and none of the games. So it seems like a horrible purchase if you're buying it as a Switch replacement.
Sure.
I'm sure it's a wonderful phone if you want a giant screen with poor resolution, proportionally speaking. I mean, 1080p looks good on an iPhone 8 Plus, but that's also a 5.5 inch screen. 7.2 is massive, so I'm very curious what that would look like. So yeah, very interesting.
That would look like the iPad Mini 1, probably.
Yeah, probably close to that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it'd look better than that because I think the Mini 1 wasn't even 720p, was it?
I don't know.
Or it was just it was like just at 720p. And it was 7.9 inches. So it's lower resolution, bigger screen. So this looks better than that for sure. But that's all there is to know about it. It's really not something you should buy as a gaming device.
The iPad Mini had a...
It's like 760 something, I think, was the...
1024 by 768.
Ooh, I was going to say 768, but I didn't have the balls to do it. And I should have, because I would have looked so damn smart. Not really smart, just ability to memorize 3-digit numbers.
So wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Wicked smart.
Speaking of wicked...
You ain't got no legs!
Stupid is as stupid does.
I'm gonna watch Forrest Gump again, man.
We got 3 Forrest Gump references right there. We did it.
There we go.
We did, and they were all in context. Perfect. So we're going to move on to our main quest now, which is what VR games do we want to see? And what prompted us to discuss this, I'll tell you, Chad. So
tell me about it.
Hello Games, who makes No Man's Sky, they released...
They're still around?
They are still around. And they had what's called the Explorer's Feedback Survey for players of No Man's Sky to see what they might want to see in the future for the franchise. And one of them was VR support, or asking about VR support. So it kind of got me thinking, well, that'd be a really cool game to have in VR. That's a game I would play in VR for sure. It's walking around, it's seeing stuff, it's being in a ship. Like,
you're right.
That'd be very cool.
Flying games, flight simulators, that kind of stuff, I found, like, going into, like, the promise of VR, that's the kind of stuff like, oh my god, can you imagine being in the cockpit of blah, blah, blah? And then it turns out that's, like, the lamest experience and
but like
the most vomit-inducing.
But this isn't a flight simulator.
I know, yeah.
So you don't need to look at gauges and dials, that kind of stuff. So it would be fine. But I think it'd be a great game to have in VR. Like, I'd be totally open for that. I don't know how it would run on a PS4 in VR. I think you'd probably have to wait for PS5, probably. But I want to know, what games do you want to see in VR that could be tailored for VR?
Well, the only one that we've talked about so far previously in another life was Harry Potter. Harry fucking Potter. Why isn't there not a PSVR game with Harry Potter? You wave your wand, you have the Move controller. It is the wand. You do the spells, you do the motions, you use the microphone on the VR headset. You say the spells out loud, you fucking cast it. Expecto Patronum, everyone gets their own Patronus. You can fucking ride a hippogriff through the sky. You can have a Dementor stare you in the face and suck the life out of you. You can eat a chocolate frog. You can do whatever the fuck you want. It's VR. This is the perfect game. Why doesn't it exist?
I think.
So I would love to see this upcoming WB game that got rumored and leaked-ish.
You want to see that in VR?
I want to fucking see it in VR. And not this bullshit. Like, I've played the Fantastic Beasts, like Google Daydream.
No, you're talking about a game, like a legitimate game that you can sink hours into.
Why can't you wave a magic wand in virtual reality?
I mean, those games exist, but not to what you're talking about. Not to the scale you're talking about.
It needs to be Harry Potter. It needs to be Harry Potter.
Well, I have 4 games.
Leviosa.
I have 4 games on here. And 2 of them are like big games, and 2 of them are small games. I wanted to diversify it. So the first big one is, I think Cyberpunk 2077 would make an insane VR game. I
think insane is right.
What do you mean by insane?
That would be impossible.
Oh, so is your Harry Potter game.
No, it wouldn't. Harry Potter's real. It's magic.
I think that Cyberpunk 2077 would be just, again, going back to No Man's Sky, you can walk around and just explore it. I think that'd be really cool just to walk around Night City in VR and just see shit. Like, just be insanely cool. Like, even if the story elements were taken out and you could just walk around, it'd be like, that'd be dope. I want to walk around that city. It'd be very, very cool. So I think Cyberpunk 2077 would be very cool. Is it realistic? Absolutely not. Not anytime soon. But I want to see it.
Good. I'll read another one of mine.
Yeah.
Any walking simulator game. Everybody's Gone to the Rapture. What Remains of Edith Finch.
That's a good point, yeah.
Dear Esther. Like, all of those, I think, are fucking perfect. They're paced well for walking around in VR so you don't get sick.
Yeah.
Can you imagine going through the What Remains of Edith Finch and, like, all of the little stories, like when you're the cat jumping from the tree limb to tree limb, and then suddenly you're the comic book and the horror, like, in the house when you're being...
I think that I would be more immersed in those games as well. I have a hard time with them because they're so passive. Like, they're too passive for me. But in VR, that's fine. You can be passive like that. What?
The Unfinished Swan.
Ooh, I'm writing down another one right now, actually.
The Unfinished Swan. This is a game, the first, like, quarter of the game, what's so cool about it is you start and it's literally just only white. You only see white.
Mm-hmm.
No shadows, no nothing, it's white. And you throw paint blobs.
Okay.
And it hits something, and that, like, oh, that hit what looks like a stair, and I throw some more paint blobs at it, and like, oh yeah, that's stair, and you're throwing black paint, so the world now gets colored black and white. So you figure out where to go, and like these buildings come to life in front of you.
Your sense of place is very important to the game, which is what VR excels at. Yeah,
and you can fucking throw it with the fucking Move controller. God, yes.
When you said that, my head jumped to another game where I'm like, holy shit, this has to be VR. The Witness.
I hate that game.
It's a walking simulator with puzzles. No, here's why The Witness would be perfect. But here's why it'd be perfect in VR. It has puzzles based on perspective. Like, I need to look at this puzzle at a certain angle in the light in order to see something in particular. VR would really work well with that. So that'd be perfect for it. Here are two small ones.
Okay.
Monument Valley. Like, if you had the level in front of you in VR and you kind of looked around it, to see different perspectives, I think you could do some very cool stuff with that in VR.
Did you ever play Echochrome?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Was that first party
PSP
Sony
game.
title on PS3? Yeah, it was on PSP as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was that idea where you have to rotate the level to get the right perspective so your character can walk across it.
But like that with the art style of Monument Valley,
I
would love that. That'd be really charming, relaxing, nice game to have in VR. The other one, you were saying that, what was it, Autobot, what was it called?
See, it's a terrible title. Astrobot Rescue Mission.
Astrobot Rescue Mission. You said that was the Super Mario 64 of platformers for VR? I think that a classic 2D Mario in a 3D VR space could be the Super Mario 64
I was
VR.
thinking something along the lines of, like, Little Big Planet.
So my idea is that very similar to like Monument Valley VR, where it's like something in front of you that's kind of small. You have this like small like train set level almost of like a Mario level, and I just feel like Nintendo could do some really fun things like secrets and hiding things. Like, oh, you have to like move Mario around with like a joystick, but you can also like pick up things to move them around to help Mario navigate. Or like, oh, if you flick that tree, then like a little like coin will pop out, and that's one of the hidden coins in the level. Like, I think Nintendo would have a lot of fun with a little VR toy space like that, like a little toy box almost in front of them as a Mario level.
Counterpitch.
No, mine's perfect. Stop.
Counterpitch. It's only the opening start screen of Super Mario 64, and you just sit there and pull on Mario's nose and his ears nonstop.
You know, that would
How
be
many
entertaining.
hours of your life as a kid did you spend on that screen?
Oh, I didn't play N64 version of that. I played on the DS. And the DS, you have the
Did they
stylus.
not have that?
No, the stylus. You use the stylus in
Okay.
the DS and like move his face around. So I did that a lot. That was fun. That was great. So I got one
my
more,
last
but
one,
you go for it.
Yeah, me too. My last one is I want a full-scale FPS.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the aim controller, the PlayStation aim controller, and games like Firewall 0 Hour or Farpoint, or even like Doom VFR, like that has felt really great, and I'm ready for a full-scale game like that. And I would love to see something from Guerrilla, like
Oh, yeah.
like a Killzone, like make the next Killzone a VR thing.
That'd be really cool, yeah.
I'm ready for that because I think they could blow that out of the water.
The first one's going to be Call of Duty.
A Horizon experience, like the scale of all the giant robot dinosaurs. I would
Yeah.
freaking shit my pants. But also maybe that's too fast paced for it. I don't know.
With scale of that, so I was thinking about like Shadow of the Colossus as an example. This is actually not one I decided to pick. So I'm like, would the scale be too big? Like, would you actually enjoy climbing a Colossus like that in VR? I think it'd be too big.
The only thing I've ever climbed in VR is playing Robinson the Journey.
Yeah.
And that's the one where, you know, you crash land on the planet, there's dinosaurs everywhere. We have to climb up cliffs and things like that. And climbing in that game was not great. It was not fun. It was often janky. But it also was, like, terrifying.
Yeah, so Oculus has a game called The Climb, where you're rock climbing on the side of a mountain. Kind of the idea of it. And I just can't do that one because I get vertigo sensations. I feel like I'm really high up, so I start to get kind of nauseous and dizzy. Not because it's bad, it's really convincing. And like thinking about that in Shadow of the Colossus, thinking, oh my god, I'm really high up, and this Colossus is shaking to get me off of them.
Yeah.
That sounds really nauseating and too much.
There's a part in Robinson the Journey where you're in like this wrecked spacecraft and you're way up high, and to get to the next spot, you're climbing on this wreckage, and your next spot is way down below you, and it's another piece of wreckage you have to grab onto, and you have to let go, fall, and catch that wreckage again in midair.
Oof.
And that was literally the most terrifying thing I've ever done in VR. And I played all through Resident Evil 7 in VR. Like,
heights are scary. In VR, heights are very
terrifying.
scary.
And also hiding from velociraptors. That game was pretty good.
So my last one.
What's your last game? Yeah.
Is a first-person Hitman game in VR.
Oh, yeah, so you can definitely train how to be a serial killer?
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I like the idea of blending in, and I don't know, I think it'd be really cool to like experience that almost, like if it were real, like, okay, like I gotta blend in, and I need to, for example, like a lot of the times you have to disable the security cameras, right? So you might want to dress up as a security guard and sneak in there, but you can't have them see you break the equipment, because then they know there's something fishy going on. So you're kind of in the room, you're like looking around at them, like, okay, they're looking right now. All right, they're not looking right now. Then you start to like do your thing with the touch controllers or the move controllers to like do something with the device to like break it and then run away. Like, I think that'd be really cool and really immersive. But also, Hitman games are really good about having a sense of place. Like everything is so detailed, where like you go in the locker room and there's people having a conversation about something, and you can stay there and listen to their conversation for a very long time. And that's not just there. It's like everywhere something is happening on a very small scale that makes everything feel very believable. So I think that in VR would be a really good combination. But it also might be, as you could have put out there with the training to be a serial killer, could get a little intense. It could get a little bit intense. Let's just go full on.
Let's release Manhunt. And let's just legit let everyone be a serial killer.
Well, there's going to be like Grand Theft Auto in VR at some point. There's going to be games like that in VR.
Yep.
Uh-oh. Who's talking to you now? Is that Siri?
Siri. I think she wants me to like text somebody and murder them.
She's very on board with the Hitman VR idea.
God, now I'm super in. Like, I've got a big old boner for VR again now. Thanks a lot, Holden.
Sorry
for turning me on.
All right,
that's the end of our main quest. What games? If you guys have an idea of a game that you would love to see in VR, tweet it at us, And guess what that will do? That will get you an entry in our participation trophy.
Ooh,
so at the end of the month, we will choose one person who has participated. I know, right? Who has participated with us in one of three ways. Either once a week, participating on Twitter by interacting with us, or submitting a review for our podcast on any podcast service of your choice, or referring a friend to us. All of those will earn you one choice. And again, there's a bonus one if you give us feedback on our new format of splitting everything up by company. And then at the end of the month, I guess on the 30th, we'll give somebody $20 to the gaming service of their choice. So Fez just won this already. Drawbean has won it twice. You guys got to knock him off the pedestal, man.
Yeah.
But this then transitions into our end game, where we connect with the community. Guess what? That's you. You're part of the community. Oh, my God. What a great hat you're wearing today. That's beautiful. I like the choice. Matches your shoes. We do all sorts of things like answer subscriber interrogatives, where I gave Jerson a homework assignment 3 weeks ago to submit one. Still waiting on that. So
it's okay. We accept late assignments. It's okay.
Midterms are coming up soon. We also discuss our poll of the week, which I've decided to start calling our occasionally weekly poll, because I didn't do one again this week. So, and also that's a callback. That's what we call a callback. But we do have two other things that happen. One is where we talk about our barf of the month, backlog accomplishments with Respawn and Friends. Do you guys remember what our backlog accomplishment of Respawn and Friends was for this month? I'll wait. That's right. It was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I tried to do the Dora thing, and I didn't want you to respond.
Yeah, no, I get what you were doing.
Backpack. So, we've started a new thing to keep it fresh in our minds throughout the month to encourage us to play it. And it looks like it's working because we've both already played it, and we're halfway through the month.
That's at first, actually.
I know.
This is a first.
And this is called Little Bits of Barf, where we just tell you little chunks about... God, chunks. That was no pun intended.
But that was perfect.
But that got graphic.
That was perfect.
Little chunks about the game, to kind of pique your interest and give you a reason to play it. And then we'll all come together on the 30th and talk about it. I just wanted to give you an idea of the critical reception. Last week we talked about PlayStation hardware not supporting scrolling, so they had to make the backgrounds essentially sprites and things like that. But now I want to talk about how this game was received and why it deserves your attention. Sitting on Game Rankings and Metacritic, both with an average percent of 93% for the PlayStation version. You're welcome for the burp. This is critically regarded as one of the greatest games of all time. Here are a couple of rankings for it. In 1998, Castlevania Symphony of the Night was awarded PlayStation Game of the Year by EGM, Electronic Gaming Monthly. It was also ranked 4th on the list of 100 greatest games of all time by EGM, and it was the highest PS1 game on that list. It was also named Game of the Year by PlayStation Magazine, PSM, in 1997. It appeared on several greatest games of all times lists, including GameSpot's. It was 16th on IGN's Top 100, 24 in Game Informer's Top 200, and Game Radar, Games plural Radar, named Castlevania Symphony of the Night the second best PlayStation game of all time. Behind, can you guess the first?
Parasite Eve.
Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, I was close.
Parasite Eve's actually kind of fun.
I tried to pick a very obscure
PSP Go.
PSP game, or PlayStation game.
So, obviously the fucking world loves it. We're playing it now for the first time. We'll tell you whether we love it in 2 weeks.
Boom.
And aside from bits of barf, we also do our Game on Game Show, where we do a game on our gaming show, and it's a game on Game Show Gaming Show. This week we have a returning segment called Video Games Would You Rather. I have 5 Would You Rather here. This one gets kind of bizarre.
That's interesting because they all get kind of bizarre.
I know, but there are some of these. Let's start in the middle. Holden.
Yeah, start in the middle.
Would you rather have full-length sporks for fingers?
Sporks. Okay.
Sporks, spoon forks.
Yeah.
Preventing you from using most controllers. Or every poop you take is a collection of sporks, which has the potential to rip your asshole to shreds.
2018 is a great year. People like me who choose to have spork hands can still play games because of Xbox Adaptive Controller.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And I'd rather not shit sporks. So,
I mean, you have the chance that the sport could come out the reverse and the round edge would go through your hole. But man, if it comes out spiky edge first,
yeah, see, that's what I don't want. So I'm gonna go with playing games with the Adaptive Controller from Xbox.
Good luck ever pleasing a woman.
I mean, children listen to this podcast. We'll stop.
Number 2. Would you rather? Wait a minute. Okay, I was about to say I forgot to read the second part. It's been a few days since I've made this. Anyway, shut up. Would you rather play through the entire Assassin's Creed series, but only play the present day sections, or spend an equivalent amount of time playing the now defunct PlayStation Home?
What was the? I just heard PlayStation Home. What was the whole?
Spend an equivalent amount of time playing the now defunct PlayStation Home.
I'm gonna take the Assassin's Creed. That's actually kind of easy.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is easy. PlayStation Home, though, like, there were some dumb mini games where, like, there were some bots flying over a fountain, and you're like, oh, I'll pop some balloons. Mm-hmm. Or you could, like, walk into the, quote, theater, and you could, like, watch the Sony press conference live in the theater with the other avatars.
Yeah, but the Assassin's Creed games, the modern elements of it's like, what, 2 hours out of the entire franchise? There's, like, nothing in there. So I'll take that one.
Yeah, but then I only have to play 2 hours of PlayStation Home.
Yeah, we played the same amount of time.
An equivalent amount of time.
And I had a story,
right.
too.
Well, fine. Fucking fine. We'll play different things. I don't want to play with you anyway. Okay.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll save the 2, like, fucking weird ones for the end. Number 3. Would you rather play video games in 10-minute chunks, after which you have to stop for 1 hour? Or play for 1 hour chunks, after which you black out for 10 minutes and potentially fuck up all your progress?
Oh, I'm definitely going to choose the first option, because I hate nothing more than having to replay something I just played.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I could do 10-minute chunks, because then you like just get back into it and into the groove, like, oh man, I've started the quest. Oh, gotta stop for an hour. And then I get back and like, wait, where was I? By the time I remember where I was in the quest, oh, gotta stop for an hour.
But at least I won't have to do it over again.
But it's only 10 minutes worth of stuff that you would have to do over.
No.
Okay. All right. Here we go. So, this is a real life would you rather that a group of friends of mine made up.
Okay.
And I've split it over these two and applied it to video games.
Okay.
So it is like the video game section versus the other section.
Okay.
Would you rather floss dance for 3.5 hours per day every day?
Flash dance?
Floss dance from Fortnite.
What's that?
You don't know what the floss dance is?
No.
Oh my god.
I'm looking this up right now.
It's a dance. It's a dance.
Like it's just I gotta move. Okay.
You floss dance. It's this dance.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
You floss dance for 3.5 hours a day, every day for the rest of your life to prevent a brain tumor from forming. Or...
because the two are connected.
That's right. If you don't floss dance one day, you get a brain tumor. Strap in. Or would you rather be married to Dick Van Dyke? Dick will provide for you so you'll never have to work another day in your life. And after he dies in the near future, because he's old as shit, you're free to do whatever you want. However, once Dick dies, you're never allowed to experience sexual pleasure again for the rest of your life, whether from another person or at your own hand.
Well, that's definitely not the option.
But while he's alive, you do have to pleasure him sexually.
I'm definitely not taking that one. There's not even a choice.
No?
Because here's the thing, right? Getting a brain tumor and having to basically work out to stop getting a brain tumor is a great way to get in shape. Great motivation.
3.5 hours of floss dancing a day.
No, it's a lot.
For the rest of your life.
Old Dick Van Dyke's dick.
Okay, listen. Just old, wrinkly-ass,
and then
smelly Dick Van Dyke
sex
dick.
For the rest of your life?
But you have unlimited money. You can do whatever you want. You can see the world. You can play as many video games as you want. You're taken care of. You'll never find true love unless that true love is celibate.
That sucks. But here's the thing, right? If I had the determination to floss dance for 3.5 hours every day, I'd have the determination to have any life I want, minus the 3.5 hours a day I have to floss dance.
What if you break an arm, and you can't floss dance, or you stub your toe, or stub your toe? It's not.
Yeah,
something prevents you from floss dancing that day, and you have to work through the pain or get a brain tumor.
Exactly. I won't get a brain tumor. That sounds like a big plus. So I'm doing it. I'm doing it. I'd rather not be with...
Dick Van Dyke's got to die soon enough.
I mean, he's already dead.
I'll do
technically, so you'll do it? All right.
No, he's not dead.
I thought he died.
No.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
As I was writing this, I looked it up to make sure. Number 5. Strap in.
If that was not the weirdest one yet, I don't know what I'm about to hear right now.
Get ready.
I don't know what I'm about to experience. Okay.
Every minute that you play Zelda for the rest of your life...
This is geared towards me, isn't it?
You must have someone peeing on your neck for the entirety of the PlayStation of the play session. As long as you're playing Zelda, someone is actively peeing on your neck.
What? Why?
Or you get to have the most perfect relationship with your dream partner for the rest of your life. Play Zelda as often as you want, uninterrupted. But every 30 days, you have to submit to their fetish for 1/2 hour. You'll be strapped down to a table in a shed in the backyard. And after they eat a Chipotle burrito, your partner will proceed to dump on your chest for a full 30 minutes. This is Chipotle dumps. For a full 30 minutes while you recite the lyrics to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. If you stumble over the words to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, the timer resets. But outside of that 1/2 hour, as long as you remember the words, you have the world's most perfect life. Or you could play Zelda while someone pees on your neck.
So I'm at this point in my life where I realize that the best things in life are hard to attain and require to put yourself in a situation you might not want to be in to have the life that you want. And if I had a perfect life and had to recite the lyrics to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang while being Chipotle shat on, if my life is perfect otherwise, I don't know how you can have a perfect life and that also happening to you, but apparently in this hypothetical scenario, that's a reality. I'll take that one because I like Zelda, and that would ruin Zelda for me to have someone peeing on my neck. Also, too, I think I'd feel bad for them to have to constantly pee on me while I play Zelda for countless hours whenever the next one comes out. Because Breath of the Wild, I played Breath of the Wild for 50 hours the first weekend. I took the whole weekend off work and I played for 50 hours in the weekend. Someone would have to continuously piss on me for 50 hours. That's uncomfortable for them.
Can you imagine what your partner has to go through to prepare to poop for 30 minutes straight?
But it's her fetish. But it's her fetish. She likes it.
You're right.
Which then makes me feel, it's like, hey, you know what? The guy pissing on me, I feel bad for him, but she likes pooping on me. Not that I'd ever want someone to poop on me.
I feel like it's one of those things
I need to put the disclaimer. I don't have a fetish of having people poop on me, nor have I ever wanted or have ever had anyone poop on me before. So
it's one of those things like, in lots of countries they eat dogs. Whereas here, oh my God, I would never. I feel like being shat on for 30 minutes straight. There are people that are into that. I just have to reorient my mind to think that's a normal thing.
I would go as far as that people who do like that realize it's not a normal thing. Like, there's not going to be like a, hey,
30 minutes a month.
I would love to hear that. Hey, don't judge me just because I like to be shit on. We all have our preferences, okay?
Got to start learning the words to Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
All right, so what word are you going to choose?
I'm going to choose the Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
Really? Because you never play Zelda, so you would never be pissed on.
I do play Zelda. Well, for me, we would have to make it something else.
Okay.
Like,
you can't ever play... Every time you're playing in VR, someone's pissing on you.
God, I hope I'm playing swimming games.
Oh, this is a shower. This feels real.
Oh my God, this is so real. There are people who have like driving seats for their VR, and then they have like a steering wheel and then like fans blowing on them.
I have
this like that.
There's a guy at work and he plays Elite Dangerous in VR a lot, and he literally has his computer chair rigged up so he has two, like, you know, like the joystick like gaming pads where like you play flight simulators, like funny, like not like flight simulators, like a jet fight, like dog fights kind of stuff. He has those strapped into his chair, like built into his chair, so he can hold on to them and control his ship and feel like he's in a spaceship flying around Really Dangerous. And like that sounds like the greatest VR experience ever.
Yeah,
because it matches with your real life well enough. That's very cool.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that has
just
been
like getting
Respawn
pissed on in
Aimfire.
a shower.
Just like getting pissed on in an underwater level. Respawn Aimfire episode 80. Yeah, remember, tweet at us your feedback about it, whether or not you want to get peed on or pooped on. Just tweet us.
I know there are family members that listen to this, and they're going to hear my preference of getting shit on or peed on.
But you put the disclaimer out there. It's not your fetish.
It's not my fetish.
You're making compromises for the love of your life.
I'm a good person.
And that's chivalrous.
Shitfulrous.
Here's our usual sign-off. Dick Van Dyke's dick.
Tiger lilies. I stop.